Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased today to welcome Slovenia's leading musician and poet, Vlado Kreslin. Kreslin's book, Instead of Whom Does the Flower Bloom?, his selected poems translated into English, many for the first time, is published by Guernica Editions in 2012, and we're very pleased to have Vlado with us today. Vlado has been considered the leading musician of Slovenia and is very popular throughout the Balkans. In fact, he's been called the Bruce Springsteen of the Balkans, which is probably a good analogy because he combines traditional folk music with his own original rock compositions, and he's very well known as well for his original poems, some of which are lyrics to his songs. He has traveled around the world as a representative of the Slovenian Ministry of Culture. He's traveled throughout the US for performances, and in 2009 he even got an honorary fellowship at Yale University. We're very pleased that he's joining us today, and we'll talk to him a little bit. He'll also play some of his songs for us. Vlado, welcome.
Hi, hello.
So to begin with, where did you grow up, and what does that region of Slovenia represent for Slovenes?
Well, I grew up in Prekmurje, which is a region northeast of Slovenia, up there between Austria and Hungary. Prekmurje is maybe a little different than the rest of... Well, Slovenia is quite a small country, but it has quite a few differences, you know, because we have these Alps and sea and flatlands where Prekmurje lies. And we also have many dialects, and Prekmurje, dialect from Prekmurje is maybe the most strange for the rest of the country. We also were, you know, not the part of Slovenia for, you know, for a long time, and Prekmurje is maybe was, or still is, was probably the most unknown part for the rest of Slovenians, you know, for the people from the center of the country.
So it feels exotic even for Slovenes.
Yeah, exotic, yes, that's the word. Yeah, maybe still feels a little bit exotic because of well, the kitchen is also a little bit different, you know, the food. The language, of course. The people are. I think the rest of Slovenians think that we are a little bit different in the way that we are. Maybe, I don't know. You know, like people. They have a big river, Mura, which. You know, rivers always mean, like the poet says, people down the river, they are happy to give. We are on flatlands, so we don't have these problems with the mountains. We could communicate in our history, we could travel, you know, we could influences going up and down the river. We have these borders, and we always had miscellaneous of ethnics in Prekmurje, in Murska Sobota, which is our capital town. You know, there lived, you know, Slovenes, Croats, Russians, Germans, Jews, even Gypsies, you know. Maybe one of the most tolerant places in Slovenia. It used to be, and I hope it still is.
Now, for some of your music is influenced by traditional gypsy music, and also by music from elsewhere throughout the Balkans. And maybe you could talk a little bit about what is perhaps your most famous song, Black Guitar, which has to do with a story of a real guitar and is related to gypsies living in harmony with Slovenes in the Prekmurje region.
Well, that Black Guitar is a poem which is based on a true story by my father. My father, he bought his first guitar back in 1946 for his first pay. You know, he went to Maribor by train and then brought back this guitar, which, you know, his whole wages he gave for that guitar. It's quite a romantic story, and when he brought it back to Beltinci, to our small town, you know, local musicians, which were gypsies also, you know, the news spread around that there's a guitar, a real good guitar, and that, you know, they had their instruments made by themselves, you know. It was 60 years back, you know, and then they asked him to borrow the guitar because they already had a gig right there, and then he borrowed the guitar, and afterwards when he quit borrowing it because the guitar always came back without strings and things like that. Then they asked me when the father was in the office, you know, so I gave it, and after 30 years, their small, you know, their grandchildren asked me in a pub, what about the guitar? And I grew up about that guitar, but it's still there. My father still has that guitar and he still plays it, and he's actually now last 20 years member of my band, and he's 84 and he still comes in a black suit like, you know, like Johnny Cash, and plays his songs. He's really great now. And because the story connected with the gypsy community, so I thought that it should also have the melodic side, you know, the musical part should be colored by gypsy music style, you know. So I suggested to my partner Miro Tomasini, with whom we make most of music. Most time we work together, you know. So I'm doing the lyrics, he does the music. Sometimes I work some of the songs, I work alone, it depends. So I suggest that, you know, he studies a little bit, you know, this kind of music, and he did it. It was 1983, something like that, you know. It was still quite not so popular. I mean, beginning of 80s, I was quite into gypsy music, but it was not so very popular then, you know. Even it was before this ethno movement, before world music movement, all this stuff, you know. All before that, and it was the first such song which came out, and it was quite a shock. What's that, you know? The violins, the story about some guitar about gypsy. What's that, you know? And I even say in a refrain, I even said, "Mister, do you still have that guitar?" By that time, there were no misters in Yugoslavia. We were comrades, you know. And the only guys who said "Mister" were gypsies, you know. They called our misters, you know. We were all comrades, comrade. So it was quite a charming, you know, point.
Now, would you maybe read us the poem in English and then play the song for us?
I can try. Black guitar. At every feast in those early days of youth, our home resounded with song played by mustachioed gypsies. My father too swept the strings of that black guitar, the one he had bought with his first wages. Do you still have that guitar, sir? Sir, do you still play that black guitar? That, sir, was the greatest of all. Years on, when they would pass and reach out for a coin or two, they'd ask him about the guitar. Years on, as they stole away to the bar, far from their resting instruments, which enchanted the guests through the night. Their women too, as they knocked on our door to plead for our garments, tattered and worn, would ask, eyes gleaming, "Do you still have that guitar, sir? Sir, do you still play that black guitar? That, sir, what is the greatest of all." Once in a while, when back at my home, I empty a few glasses, embraced by the shade of our chestnut tree. I drink with my friends, whose lives are still bound to that land. Then, strings by the table, the gypsies would appear, play for us, and ask once again, with their childish eyes and voices deep and coarse, "Do you still have that guitar, sir? Sir, do you still play that black guitar?" That, sir, was the greatest of all. Indeed, the greatest of all. Bil sam ševlalek, kot vedno, za praznik prišli barkati cigani v hišo igrat. Oče je stopil sobom u tisto črno kitarom Kio je kupil za prvo plačo Gospod, tisto kitaro še imate? Gospod, tisto črno kitaro še imate? Gospod, tista bila je res dobra. So ga spraševali še dolgo Zmeraj, ko hoteli so prositi drobiž Zmeraj, ko igrali so vaški gostilni In hodili po pavzah do šanka Pa njihove žene prišle so stare oblike so rade vprašale Gospod, tisto kitaro še imate? Gospod, tisto črno kitaro še imate? Gospod Včasih, ko pridem domov, sedim pod kostanji in pijem s prijatelji, ki tam še živijo. Takrat skoraj vedno pri mizi za nas zaigrajo in vprašajo otroški obrazi s hripavim glasom. Gospod, tisto kitaro še imate? Gospod, tisto črno kitaro še imate? Gospod, tista bila je res dobra. Tista bila je res dobra. Tista, indeed, bila je najboljša.
Bravo. Great.
Thank you.
So, the actual guitar itself, in 40, 50 years, is going to end up in the Slovene Ethnographic Museum.
Yeah, who knows? Could be. Could be. It's quite harder to play that guitar, the actual guitar, because it's a little bit rounded, the neck. But I went up to the basement last time when I was back home, and I found it there in a corner, and it was tuned.
Good.
It was tuned. He has a tune there, so.
So let's talk a little bit more about the process of your writing your poems. Do you normally start with an image, a line, an idea, and do you write in one sitting or in various stages?
Yeah, I still don't know. I still can't answer this question. This is real strange, because a lot of people ask me that. I still can't, because it's so different. Actually, maybe not so very different. I think that a few times it really happened that I wrote a poem in one breath, you know. I know that it happened with Jožek, for example. It was a song about an old guy who played double bass in my band, Betnička Banda, you know. Miro gave me the music, you know. Da, 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 and I came home, you know, and I already had a picture. I had, you know, the music was very melancholy. It was very fitting. I felt it, and I saw the picture of that man, you know. And in the morning, I had a song. I had a poem. But actually, it happens rarely, you know. So that when I do alone, you know, when I write you know, the whole song, words and music, then I don't know. Then mostly I have some melody, you know. I have something, and then I keep, you know, everything starts like I just playing something, you know. Once. Last time when I was sitting here, I remember one song that my wife came from the kitchen, and it was really, she's a very good cook, I must say that, and it was really smelling great from the kitchen. It was, I don't know, in the evening, we cook every evening, you know, or maybe it was Sunday morning, Sunday noon, I don't know. But as I saw her, you know, I was just like that, you know. And she came in here, and I said, "Stavo je easy. Stavo se da. Stavo easy, stavo se da," which means it's easy to live, even not without live. It's easy with you. How would you say that? Stavo se da.
Yeah, it goes smoothly with you. Or
Yeah,
easy.
yeah. And then I said, "Oh my God, this is not bad." You know, and I was already here, and I started. So I started actually at the end, you know. I had this, I like this, you know. It was a joke, you know, everybody laughed. Funny, yeah. You know, what's that? You know. I never thought it should be, you know. But then I kept on playing, and I said, oh, not bad actually, you know. Then I started to work on it from the end to the, you know, this is the end of the song. This is the last line, totally last. And before I speak in every chorus, I speak about how you grew up and how you are, you know, a teenager, and how you play with the old band, and how this band is up there in heaven. And then at the easy, I say this last line. So when I work with my partner Thomas, then he gives me, you know, like the Jožek, he gives me the. Now we have something. You know, I ask him to put me some skins, you know, some short parts, and then I take it to halt vacations or something. The best is if you go somewhere else that you know. Sometimes it happens at home, of course. You know, the mornings are great. You know, the last 20 years when I have kids, I discovered mornings. Before I didn't know what morning is. You know, now I see that mornings are quite great, and in the morning really it works. You know, I mean the brains work, and then he gives me this small parts, and I take it to vacation, to my, you know, to my trips, you know. And when you're really boring in a hotel or somewhere on the plane or something, then you take it out, and you know, this is maybe most of the times it happens like that, I guess. Then I keep a think, you know, and of course you threw tens and tens of pieces of paper you throw back because it, you know.
Now tell us about the title poem of your collection, Instead of Whom Does a Flower Bloom, Namiesto Kogo Rože Sveti, which is a number of your songs. We could call them legendary because people talk about them. They've been incredibly popular for many years now. But this one inspired a friend of yours to write a novel. I think it was made into a film.
Yes.
And he, what did he say? Something like this. There's an entire novel in this one song.
when I came we're talking about Ferry Lanšek, which is very popular, very good novel writer in Slovenia and a poet.
From your native Prekmurje?
From my native, yes, Prekmurje. And it was 10 years back, yes, even more. I came to him in his kitchen and I said, "Oh, Ferry, I have something, you know, here. How do you like it?" And I wrote it to him. And he said, "Oh, please do it once more." And I read it again, and he said, "Oh my God, what is it? I think I have to write a novel." I think I have to write a novel, and then he closed himself for half a year, you know, and he came out with such a novel, which was a bestseller, you know. And then Andrei Mlakar, movie director, he wrote a novel, and I think he said something similar. "Oh, I must make a movie." You know? But everything starts everything started with I think me and my father, we were at some funeral back in Prekmurje, you know, and we were standing at the funeral right in the back, you know. And we heard there was a main street passing there, and we heard people with cars celebrating somebody that was getting married, you know, with cars, doo-doo, everybody happy, you know. And my father looked at me, he did like that. He said, "You see, someone this way, the other guy this way." You know. I think that gave me because in the song I say that if the soil over my grave, soil over, yes, soil will be as rich as to have a flower or two if someone will take care of that grave. Someone will care, actually. This flower will give to someone tears and to someone honey. I mean, I meant the bees, you know. So that's what was the point, you know. So, and,
would you maybe read us that poem as well and then play the song?
I can try. Instead of whom does the flower bloom? On a night when I share the vast skies with the storks, beneath the floating screen of haze, alone and silent, I mingle with them, feet upon the rain-scented grass. As the first sunbeam eats through the dark, we are drawn from the pool of our dreams, and new desires once tied to the sheltering moor now vanish as they sail into the heavenly blue. Instead of whom does the flower bloom? Instead of whom does my heart pound? What skin smells sweetest of all? And what song needs my voice to strike the stars? Should the grasses bloom above me, some eyes will melt in tears, while others will see only a flower. Instead of whom does the flower bloom? Instead of whom does my heart pound? What skin smells sweetest of all, and what song calls for my voice? Pod vysečou meglou ticho sám nimi stojím, len nogy nad vodou. Kopa žarek pregríza tmou, prevodimo se noč vidje novih želja. beso, grave amor, glad.
Wow.